Imagine a world where the power of your mind and the energy of your thoughts are as tangible as the air you breathe. In Living Water, Neville Goddard invites us to embark on a deep journey into understanding one of the most powerful forces in the universe, human imagination. This text is not just a collection of teachings. It is an open door to a realm where your deepest desires can transform into reality. Through his words, you will discover how water, a symbol of fluidity and rebirth, becomes the vehicle for your dreams, a channel that connects your consciousness with the infinite potential of the universe. Prepare your mind and heart, for what you are about to hear may change your life forever. The first symbol given to us in the Bible is that of water, found in the second verse of the first chapter of Genesis. Before his first creative act, we are told that God moved upon the surface of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Before his creative act, he moved upon the surface of the waters. Water is a deeply cherished symbol for me because of my first vision at the age of 7. But what is this water that is being spoken of here? In Jeremiah chapter 2 verse 13 it is written, "My people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewn out cisterns for themselves, broken cisterns that can hold no water." Here he defines himself as the living water. In John chapter 4 verse 10 it is said, "If you knew the gift of God, and who it is that says to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." Here we encounter the same living water. He tells you he has the power to give you living water, which God defines as himself. Therefore, what is the living water? Listen carefully, for now we have the truth, and this is found in the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 19. "As in water, face reflects face, so the heart of man reflects the man." Now we see what water is. Just as water reflects the face, so the heart of man reflects the man, not the mind. The mind is merely a reflector. It reflects the man, the operating power. He has living water, which I hold in great esteem and speak of constantly. Blake's first vision was of a tree full of angels at the age of 8 or 9. He went to his family and told his parents he had just seen a tree full of angels. His father, aiming to make him a sensible child, prepared to beat him. Fortunately for Blake, his mother intervened and saved him. Perhaps that is what mothers are for, to protect us from our violent fathers. Although he was not beaten, his father wanted to make him a reasonable, sane and solid citizen, but he was seeing angels in a tree. This is the first known thought we have of Blake. Of all that has been said about him, the last thought is reported by a neighbor who was present at his deathbed. She later told her relatives that she had just witnessed not the death of a man, but of a blessed angel. That is what Blake taught throughout his life. We become what we contemplate. And behold, a neighbor could say she witnessed the death of a blessed angel, not a man. Blake didn't become this immediately. Undoubtedly, there were countless moments in his 70 years that were not angelic. But in the end, he fulfilled what he contemplated. Throughout his greatest poem, Jerusalem, that thought permeates the entire 100 plates. They become what they contemplate, and we each become what we contemplate. What is your concept of yourself today? Is it truly what it should be? A child of God? Or the child of Mrs. Brown, sweet and loving as she may be? Even the sweetest parents cannot compare to the concept you could hold of yourself. I am a child of God. If that is truly your concept of yourself, and you gaze into the mirror of your mind contemplating this self-concept, it may not immediately appear in your world, but it will appear. By this law we become what we contemplate. I know that at age 7 my first vision was of water. It used to terrify me, happening once a month until I reached puberty. I always sensed it coming by the mood that emerged during the day. It always repeated, "I became an infinite ocean and yet a wave moving upon the ocean's chest." During that interval at night, I was both the ocean and the wave. As the wave, I was flung into the air, then received back into the bosom of that ocean. It was a terrifying experience, a turbulent and angry ocean. But it ceased when I reached puberty. Later, I encountered another concept of an ocean, this time of living water. This happened in my 20s, perhaps at 21, in Larchmont, New York. On a particular night, when I faded from this world, I became one with an immensity, without circumference, all golden liquid light. But it wasn't an angry light, it was soft, pulsating light. The entire thing was gentle and pulsating, and I was that. There was nothing else but that. Now there was no wave, only complete integration. I was living, pulsating, golden liquid light. It lasted all night, because when I awoke in the morning, the book I had been reading rested on my chest, a large, heavy book proving I hadn't moved while I slept. I must have entered a cataleptic state sometime during the night. The bed was practically undisturbed. The sun had risen, and the reading lamp was still on. I must have been in deep catalepsy for 8 or 9 hours, immersed in this infinite ocean of pulsating golden light. But now the mirror took on another form. In such a mirror you can see whatever you wish to see. In that mirror there is no broken image, unlike the turbulent image when I was 7. But then there came a moment in time when I truly sought him, as it is told in Jeremiah. You will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. I will be found by you, says the Lord, and I will restore your fortunes. Jeremiah 29:13. If you truly seek him with all your heart, he will be found by you, and all your fortunes which seem to have vanished will be restored. Everyone can find him. All will find him when they thirst to find him. There is a thirst that only an experience of God can satisfy. Nothing else in the world can. We are here tonight, and this living water is your mind. You are not the mind, you are God. God moves upon the surface of the waters, as stated in Proverbs 27:19. As water reflects the face, so the heart of man reflects the man. That man is mind, reflecting the man, and man is God. God became man so that man might become God. So when you gaze into the mind of your being, what do you see yourself to be? Whatever you are contemplating, though it may not immediately externalize in your world, if you are faithful to the vision, no power in the world can stop it from manifesting. No power can halt it. In Blake's words, despite all the world's challenges, the turbulent seas did not deter his vision. He observed the vision of an angel, a true angel. People said he was mad. Recently, my wife heard someone ask a city professor what he thought of Blake. He replied, "Oh, well, that man was insane." Yes, Blake displayed many signs of madness, but none of those were obstacles. If we were all as mad as he was, we would see what he saw. Blake wasn't mad. He truly saw double vision, triple vision, and even quadruple vision. I will touch upon the topic of quadruple vision on Tuesday night when I discuss the miraculous power of attachment. But Blake always had double vision. For him, nothing was simply what it appeared to the senses. A tree wasn't just a tree. That's what he called single vision, the dream of Newton, the scientist's dream where the moon is just the moon, the sun just a burning body. To him, it was simply angels proclaiming the glory of God. Then he would see a thistle, and it wasn't just a thistle but an old man's cane. No matter what he saw it doubly. Everything contained another image within it. Eventually, he reached the state of quadruple vision, which is perfect vision. Here, when you don't accept that the mind is just a small thing that the external world can train, you treat it as a mere mirror. Let it be just a mirror, and you determine what you want to see of yourself. As you look into the mirror, conceive yourself as one with God. As you gaze into your mind's mirror, fully believing that you are him, the mirror will reflect that image. The day will come when you will be rewarded with real experiences proving the truth of your image to your satisfaction. You will have experiences just as written in the scriptures because the mirror only reflects you. So if your self-concept is of a small, beaten, poor and insecure person, that is what you will see confirmed when you look into it. Tonight, you can give yourself any gift in the world. If only you knew the gift of God and who it is asking you, "Give me a dream," you would ask him, and he would give you living water, not just water that will leave you thirsty again, but living water. If you truly believe this is how it works, that you need no one in this world but have the mirror, just focus it. As the 23rd Psalm says, "He leads me beside still waters, not stagnant waters, but tranquil ones that can reflect and restore my soul. He leads me to these still waters, so the mind becomes calm. I am not anxious or worried. I know that if I look into my mind and see you as I wish to see you, and convince and persuade myself of the reality of that image of you, I need do nothing to make it happen. It will unfold in its appointed time. You will conform to the image I hold in my mind's eye concerning you. The mirror reflects only the concepts I hold within myself. I don't need to be faithful to you. I must be faithful to my concept of you. If I hold my noblest concept of you and others in my world, and remain faithful to my vision, no power in the world can stop it from externalizing in my world. This symbol of water is very, very close to me, because going back in time, The first image recapitulated in Scripture is water, and my first vision was of water. I cannot describe how terrifying it was until I reached puberty. Then it faded. It returned in my 20s, but this time the water was not turbulent, but living, truly living water. I was the only one. I was everything. Yet there was no world, nothing, only living, pulsating, radiant golden light and infinite light. Later, I learned that within this I could see anything I desired, and upon seeing it, no power in the world could stop it from happening. Despite lacking academic experience or external validations to support my claims, no power could disturb me because these experiences belong to a region deeper and more real than the realm of intellect. No matter what arguments people bring, they cannot disturb it. The eternal question, what came first, the chicken or the egg, has puzzled countless minds trying to figure it out. Reason tells us you can't have a chicken without an egg, and you can't have an egg without a chicken. Which came first? The eternal problem can be solved immediately with imagination. It's a silly question, and any attempt to answer it will be a silly answer. They came from each other. I come from God, and God comes from me. I'm like the egg, and God is like the chicken. He caused me to fall as the chicken lays the egg. That is the end of the doctrine of the fall, no other fall. Then, from that state, I rose. Just as a chicken hatches from an egg. That's the end of the doctrine of evolution. I am one with the very being I was before I fell from him. So we all fell. It was a predetermined plan. As it is said in Ephesians 1:4, He chose me in him before the foundation of the world. Yes, he chose me in himself before the foundation of the world. Then when all was prepared like a nest, because that's what the world is, all these galaxies like a nest, he lets me fall. I fall in God, right into the nest. After incubation, by my own effort, I emerge. So that eggshell is like your skull, sealed just like your skull is sealed. Within it is everything of its apparent creator, no more, no less. When all is complete, you will emerge. When you emerge, you will be one with God, just like God, containing within yourself the power to generate yourself and let your being fall into galaxies, allowing other gods to appear. Only imagination can bridge the gap between these two things. What came first, the chicken or the egg? They are one, they came from each other. As stated in Galatians 3:16, from man comes Christ, and your offspring, which is Christ. I know the whole world teaches otherwise, but for me, religion begins with revelation, then falls into dogma, eclecticism, rituals, and all these external things where it remains bound. But that is not the truth. The truth is vision. Tell the vision as it was given to you. If it doesn't make sense to those who hear it, tell it without distortion. Tell it as it came. If they don't understand it, don't alter it for their understanding. Tell it just as it was revealed. This is exactly how it happened. As you are told, we become what we contemplate. I am trying to encourage you to take an image tonight. This image you take tonight may not need more than a day, a week, or a month to materialize. I don't know the time interval. But take a loving, noble concept of yourself, where you contribute to the world's good. Feel clean and complete in that contribution. What would it be like if it were true? Now look into the eye of your mind and see yourself as that being contributing. You can conceive yourself as that being. If you can do so, watch until you truly feel the excitement of being such a being. In a way no one knows it will hatch. From within your vision, everything needed to externalize it in your world will come forth. You can be anything in this world you wish to be if you know how to move upon the face of the waters. And the face of the waters is simply moving upon your own mind. You don't argue with anyone or ask anyone for help. You simply contemplate your being, conceiving yourself as the man or woman you wish to be. Don't ask anyone if it's possible. If it's wealth you desire, then let it be wealth. If it's recognition you seek, then let it be recognition. If it's an increase in talents you're expressing, then an increase in talents. Conceive yourself as the being you wish to be. Seek confirmation. If there were no reflection in this world, no one would know how they appear. So God creates a reflector immediately. It is a mind. It is called water. Then in Proverbs he explains what he means by water, saying, as water reflects the face, so the mind reflects the man. It reflects not the mind, but the man. So what is a man to himself? He then looks into his mind, and when he looks into his own mind, he sees reflected there just a mirror of what he is to himself. And by the law that all things become what they contemplate, He cannot help but become that man. He simply cannot avoid it. So I tell you, dream nobly, dream the most idealistic states in the world, and then remain faithful to your dreams, as though they were true. If you do this, it will happen without the help of any being in this world. You don't need them. You don't need anyone to assist you. You will become exactly what you have imagined yourself to be. This living water is not some strange thing that he will give you. He will give you the message. That is what he will give you. He will tell you everything about yourself. If you thirst to be something other than you are now, ask him. He is within you. Speak to him. He will give you living water, something so alive that it reflects exactly what you are, nothing turbulent. I went through the turbulent state, undoubtedly. That's exactly what man is in his first stage, the state he passes through when he cannot see anything reflected. He only sees confusion and turbulence. Then came that moment in time when he could calm the mind, and the mind took on a living quality and became living water. But take a primitive man. He cannot conceive that everything he is doing is causative of the things happening in his world. He cannot conceive it because he cannot see any reflection in his mind. His mind is not fixed or calm. The mind is too turbulent. But when man controls that mind, he moves from being in that violent and tormented sea which I experienced as a 7-year-old child to that living, pulsating light, but reflecting, where he sees himself when he looks inward. Because by looking inward, the strangest thing happens. One day, reading or contemplating a similar image in a book I was reading that night, when I fell asleep because I was reading about the life of Buddha, when this happened to me the first time, that night I wasn't reading the book of Buddha, but contemplating Buddha. While doing this, an enormous flintstone appeared before my eyes, and then, without effort on my part, it shattered into many small fragments. Then invisible hands molded it into this beautiful meditating figure, like a meditating Buddha. As I approached and observed it, I was observing myself. I was the thing I was contemplating. The excitement I felt. Behold, I saw this oriental figure sitting in the same posture as you find Buddha, the little statue of Buddha made of this flint. When I saw myself and realized I was the figure I was contemplating, it shone and shone until it reached the intensity of light, and then it exploded. And then I was back where I was before. This mirror of the mind perfectly reflects what you do. So I tell you, try it. Try it tonight. Take a glorious concept of yourself. Take it of a friend, take it of your father, your mother, your child, and remain faithful to the image you hold of them. Do it without them knowing, without their consent, and just hold it in the eye of your mind until you can see it clearly. You don't have to do anything more than that. Just observe it clearly in the eye of your mind, and then let it go. In a way no one knows that you could not consciously devise, it will happen. Now at the end of the book, in Revelation chapter 22, it brings us back to how it began in the book of Genesis. We were all invited to come. Those who are thirsty, come and take without price. What to take? Take this living water. So all 66 books are impregnated with this living water. And when you reach the last of all the chapters, in verse 17 of chapter 22 of Revelation, once again, it brings up the subject of this living water. So everyone is invited to come and take without price. To anyone listening to me tonight, you have it. It won't cost you anything to try it. You need nothing but a determination to be something other than you are now. Something grand, something noble, something wonderful. Then, in the eye of your mind, see yourself as that person. A lovely way to see yourself as what you want to be is to bring a friend into the eye of your mind. Approach your friend and by their expression, the sound of their voice, and what they're telling you, let them confirm that they see you as that being. Let them see you, and then, in the eye of your mind, observe their expression, one of complete satisfaction. If they are a true friend, there will be no envy on their part. If they are a true friend, no pride in their face because they have you as their friend, and they are so proud of your achievements. If you want to add more to it, hold a mental conversation with them from the premise that they truly see and approve of this you that you have become. That will show you what you would see if you didn't have that to reflect it in your mind, what you would see in the depths as yourself. And let me tell you, you will be amazed at how it works. But you must want it. He who seeks me with all his heart will find me, and I will restore all his fortunes. But you must seek it. I must really want it with all my heart. When I want it, really want it, I will find it. Then you have that enormous satisfaction that it really wouldn't matter if all the wise men of the world rose in opposition. It would make no difference at all. You're not talking about this sphere. You're not talking about something you can see with a telescope or a microscope. It can't be seen by any instrument made by man. It's something completely outside the range of telescopes and microscopes. So you simply look right inside and see it when you become it. Reason will intervene and try to justify it, and all the wise men will say, "But you know, that would have happened anyway. Look, you met so-and-so, and then they introduced you to so-and-so, and then you had your opportunities. And because you had your opportunities, you became that. But don't expect another person to be able to do it. And then they'll always try to minimize the work of this wonderful power. But I tell you, it never fails. It never fails, and everyone is invited. In Isaiah chapter 55, the first verse says, "Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters. But I tell you, everyone, without limitations, it's not those who are of a certain race or who belong to a certain tribe, but everyone who thirsts, come to the waters, and there's no price for it. Come and take it without money, without price. Everyone is invited. If you're very thirsty, come to the waters." So we see throughout all 66 books they are infiltrated with this fantastic water, and the water is your own wonderful mind. The only one looking into it morning, noon, and night is the man you really are. And that man is destined one day to awaken and discover that he himself is God. Yes, you fell deliberately. God allowed you to fall because the name Yahweh, the verb haya, means to fall, or in the causative form, to cause to fall, or to blow the wind, or in the causative form, to make the wind blow, or to move. So it was God, because that's a name Yahweh, who, like the hen, allowed the egg to fall. But in that egg, fertilized by God, is himself, and after incubation, he from within makes an effort because the plan is all there inside, and he breaks it. And then he rises just as the chick does, capable of the same creative power, the same creation as that which seemingly brought him into existence, one with God, his own creator. So tonight, if you've already agreed on something and want to pursue it beyond an hour, just take it and take the word water and go chapter by chapter and see what is said about this wonderful water. First of all, in the argument in John chapter 4, the minute he speaks of this water, they claim, "Well, how can you do it? You have no bucket, no rope, and the well is deep. Do you mean the water you'll give us is much better water than what I can draw from this well, which our ancestor Jacob dug for us?" And he says, "With this water, you'll never thirst again. The water I'll give you will be a new well of water springing up into everlasting life. It will never change." But she couldn't really understand him, and then he revealed to her who he was. The first miracle performed in the Gospel of John is turning water into wine, in other words, into living water. From a turbulent state, you turn it into something alive, a living water. So we are told in the first letter to Timothy chapter 5, "No longer drink only water, but use a little wine for your stomach's sake and your frequent ailments." Verse 23. This has nothing to do with the wine you and I might enjoy with a good meal. Instead, it means you stop merely absorbing what to do and become a doer. So stop drinking water. Stop merely absorbing news morning, afternoon, and night about what you should do to become what you want to be and then become a doer. Thus you turn water into wine. The first miracle performed in the Gospel of John chapter 2 involved filling stone jars with water and turning it not into water, but wine, living water, because that's what wine is, something alive. He transformed it into something truly living in human life. Therefore, if any of you leave here tonight, use the wine for your stomach's sake. Don't just absorb news. If you hear what you've heard tonight and don't act on it, then you're still drinking water. But if you go out and, even if you never come back here, because your life's path changes and you move elsewhere, but you don't forget what you've heard and apply it, then you're drinking wine, you're putting it into practice. No matter where you are in the world, as you apply it, you will see results, fulfilling James's statement, "Be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves." James 1:22. Be a doer, and being a doer means practicing what you've heard tonight. Start with a friend tonight, someone in your world whom you think could be helped financially, socially, or physically. You believe they can be helped, so you help them. Bring them before your mind's eye and envision them as they ought to be seen by the whole world. Believe in the reality of that image. You are moving like God over the surface of the waters. creating as God created in the beginning. The Spirit of God moved upon the waters, and then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light, Genesis 1:3. But he did nothing until he moved upon the waters. You can walk down the street, move upon the waters, ride a bus and do it, sit in silence and do it. Fix your mind on them, regardless of how they seemed before. That's a very disturbing thought. But you must fight it. No matter what they were, don't try to fix it. Simply bring them before your mind's eye as they ought to be seen by you, the world, and themselves. Then place that image on the living water of your mind. Read it when you go home. As water reflects the face, so a man's mind reflects the man. Proverbs 27:19. A man complains that society is unkind to him. His boss is cruel, and he's not earning enough. He is reflecting only the being he conceives himself to be, and they are merely mirrors. If he doesn't like what's happening, then let him shuffle the cards anew and change his self-concept. If he changes it and remains faithful, then, as we're told in Habakkuk chapter 2, every vision has its appointed time, it will mature and flourish. Though it may seem to tarry, wait for it. It will surely come and not delay. Habakkuk 2:3. Every egg has a different gestation period. A chicken's egg takes 3 weeks. Other birds may have shorter or longer periods. The same is true for the eggs that bring about a man's visions or a sheep's or cattle's offspring. Your image tonight of a friend or yourself has its appointed time. If you remain faithful and don't waver, it will mature and flourish. I invite you to try it. Then you'll understand the mystery of water, because the Bible is a mystery that shouldn't be kept secret. It's truly mysterious in nature. There's no reason to think it should be secret. It's meant for everyone in this world. But the Bible isn't what we're told in Jeremiah chapter 2, where it says, "My people have committed 2 evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewn out for themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water." Jeremiah 2:13. These broken cisterns are simply the various isms of the world. Everyone is trying to draw from these broken cisterns and failing. The men who wrote our Bible, no one knows who they are. The Genesis author mentioned tonight, no scholar of repute has a signed manuscript. There are 3 letters: the J document, the E document, and the P document. That's all they have, no identity of the authors. Who are they? How did they come into the world? Were they born like us? Or did they appear as I once entered another world many years ago without being born of a woman? I was as real there as I am here, solidly real. I went from my bed into that world. It wasn't earth, but it was as solid. If someone had arrested me there and demanded birth certificates or identification, I couldn't have provided any, so who is E, who is P, and who is J? They give us symbols and letters, but we have no way of knowing who authored Genesis. As far back as we can trace, there are no manuscripts scholars can catalogue except to say it's the J, E, or P manuscript. Who are these incredible authors? If you treat Genesis as literature, you'll find nothing greater. But who are these authors? Completely anonymous to the moral mind. Yet there are the 50 marvelous chapters suffused with water. Historians and biblical scholars try to convince us that water was a prized item in the desert, and that's why so much importance is given to it. It has nothing to do with that. He comes to the desert to give water to his flock. The well was covered. He rolled the stone away, gave water to the flock, and rolled the stone back to cover the well. Jacob's well, we are the sheep of his pasture, aren't we? Thus we are given water by anyone who knows how to give it, feeding all the sheep until they are fully satisfied. Then, the stone is automatically rolled back into place. When someone comes after you and reads that same chapter, it's like a closed book. They turn to Genesis 28, read the story of the stone being rolled and water given to the flock, and wonder what it's all about. But if someone knows how to roll the stone and truly take that water of psychological meaning and give it to the world after doing so, the stone automatically rolls back into place. The one who comes after cannot interpret it. It remains a sealed well. But tonight you've heard it, and I believe you will try it. Let me clarify in just a moment about the water over which God moved. It is said, "The Spirit of God moved upon the surface of the waters." That water is your mind. If tonight your mind is troubled because you are anxious, then it's like a stormy sea, a turbulent sea. But wait a while. It will calm. The way to calm it is to assume you are already what you want to be. Having assumed it, watch and see the world reflect that man you have become, because everyone will see it. Once you see it reflected in the faces of your friends, let it go. Just let it go. That is the fall. The seed that came from you has its appointed time and will grow and manifest in this world. So try it. And let me tell you, when it happens, because it will happen, share your good news with me. Tell me how it worked, so I can share it from this platform, encouraging everyone with our shared faith. If it works for you, and it will, tell me what you did and how it worked. Then I will share it with everyone here. They, in turn, will be encouraged to be as faithful to their visions as Blake was, despite everything he went through during the interim. Because his life, like the life of every great man, is truly an allegory. Every person's life in the world is an allegory, though most don't realize it. And in Blake's life, one of the most striking moments occurred when this gentle, kind man, who wouldn't harm a fly, returned to his garden one day and saw a drunken soldier there. Blake lifted him and carried him to the other end of the road. The soldier retaliated, accusing Blake of insulting the king, a serious offense in England, even more so in his time. This innocent man was accused because a drunken soldier wanted revenge. It was a tremendous trial in England. Now consider this wonderful story. The soldier is always a symbol of authority, and a garden represents creativity. Blake's garden symbolized his creativity, which he was selling to a man who wanted him to become a portrait painter, a role Blake despised. He was selling his creative power for financial relief. In that garden stood the drunken man of authority because the employer held the power. Blake eventually broke free, refusing to paint portraits or use models. He saw what he wanted to paint as clearly as any model. When he wanted to draw the soul of a flea, he saw the soul of a flea, and it was a man. A flea, an insect that sucks blood, represents those who exploit others for their gain without proper compensation. Blake depicted the soul of a flea as a monstrous yet human figure, showing how everything in the world is man. The life of any great man, like Blake, is an allegory. When he restored order to his garden, the soldier disappeared. Blake eventually won the trial. Everyone knew the soldier had perjured himself. Blake wouldn't speak against the crown, and it was proven. But in the meantime, he went through hell. That trial was a turning point in his life. Blake's life began with a vision of a tree full of angels and ended with him saying, "I am not on the deathbed of a man, I am on the deathbed of a blessed angel." What he began as a vision, he fulfilled as a man. He saw an angel as a child and died as a blessed angel. So tonight, if you see something noble, as you depart this world, depart as that. Your true destiny is God. We are one with God. He became you so that you may become Him. Now let us go into the silence.